Argentine players are now facing the worst consequences of their actions. And it's no surprise. I love English people. They do my cleaning for me. That is what Enzo Fernandez said, the captain of Chelsea Football Club. A man who earns millions of pounds every single week from an English club, whose entire career at the highest level exists because English football gave him the platform, whose wages are paid by English fans who buy the tickets, the shirts, the subscriptions. This is just Enzo. But there is also Cristian Romero, Lisandro Martinez, Emi Martinez, all Premier League players, all earning their living from English football, all facing the worst possible consequence of their actions right now. English fans didn't like their attitudes, Parliament didn't like their arrogance, and now their return is not only at risk, but what they are actually about to face is something none of them probably saw coming. And in some ways, it is so much worse than a visa ban. I'll go through it in a moment. But first, for context, because what started all of this was the Falklands banner. And interestingly, it is not even the most disturbing thing these players have done, but it is the one that set England on fire. And to understand why, you need to understand what the Falklands actually means to British people. Argentina invaded the Falkland Islands, a British overseas territory in the South Atlantic. Britain sent a naval task force. A 10-week war followed. 255 British soldiers died. Young men, sent to fight and not come home. 655 Argentine soldiers also died. 3 civilians from the islands were killed. The conflict ended with Britain reclaiming the territory, but the wound never fully closed. The Falklands War is not a distant historical footnote in Britain. It is living memory. It is families. It is graves. It is something that British people of a certain age remember exactly where they were when they heard the news. And British referees are banned from refereeing Argentina's World Cup matches specifically because of it. That ban has existed for decades. Both countries carry this history onto a football pitch every single time they meet. So when Argentina eliminated England in stoppage time at the World Cup semi-final and 4 Argentine players walked to the crowd and held up a banner reading Las Malvinas son Argentinas in front of English fans who were still in the stadium, in front of English players who were still standing on that pitch, in tears, this was not a football gesture. This was not passion. This was a deliberate political provocation directed at a country, about a war, about 255 people who died, and the 4 players holding that banner, Cristian Romero, Lisandro Martinez, Giovanni Lo Celso, Nicolas Otamendi, 3 of whom play in the Premier League, 3 of whom earn their living every single week from English football clubs, 3 of whom will be walking back into English stadiums when the season starts. FIFA explicitly bans political statements at tournaments. Haiti had to change their entire kit before the World Cup started because it referenced Haitian independence from France. Argentina held up a Falklands banner after a semi-final against England. FIFA opened an investigation, the same investigation that produced a £20,000 fine in 2014, when Argentina did the exact same thing, same banner, same words, 12 years later, against England specifically. But the banner is just where it started, because what these players did around it makes the picture significantly darker. And this is where the consequences got worse right now. Cristian Romero, Tottenham Hotspur captain, did not just hold up the banner. Before he held it up, he had already sprinted after Argentina equalised in the 85th minute and screamed in Jordan Pickford's face while the England goalkeeper was on his knees. The most defeated man on the pitch at his lowest moment, that was the target Romero chose. And most people didn't notice this one. I bet you didn't, because after the final whistle, he did it worse. He found Jude Bellingham and did it again, in Bellingham's face, while England's most important player was still processing the end of their World Cup, just there, still and quiet, while Romero screamed and beats his chest full of pride and arrogance. This is a man who, after the 2022 World Cup final, celebrated in Mbappe's face specifically. At the moment of maximum pain, that is who Cristian Romero is. That is the man who is the captain of Tottenham Hotspur, who English fans pay to watch every single week. Lisandro Martinez, Manchester United's centre-back, held the banner alongside Romero, then posted on social media about hurt and starting over. Zero mention of the banner, zero mention of the investigation, just hurt and starting over, from a man whose UK visa is being discussed in Parliament. Enzo Fernandez, who said English people do his cleaning, screamed at a referee in the World Cup final, launched a teenager into a front flip, got sent off, gestured for VAR to review his own red card for several minutes, and then posted about the best Argentina team in history. Zero mention of the red card that cost his team the match. Zero mention of the cleaning comment. Zero mention of anything. Just best team in history. From the man who already had several racist problems in the past that made fans uncomfortable with his presence as the captain. And Emi Martinez, Aston Villa goalkeeper, another man whose career exists entirely because of English football, said in an interview that English youngsters lie around on their phones after training, complaining about injuries, and he would kick them out of the physio room, from a man paid by an English club, about the culture that gave him everything he has. The banner, the Pickford moment, the Bellingham moment, the cleaning comment, the physio comment, the best team in history post, all of it from players who earn their living in England, at clubs whose supporters pay their wages every single week. Now let's talk about what they are actually facing. Because the visa story has dominated the headlines, former Thatcher advisor Niall Gardner posted publicly demanding zero tolerance and immediate revocation of work visas for every Argentine player involved. British politicians, including those close to Parliament, have called for consequences. The political noise around this has been unlike anything Argentine players in England have experienced before. Chelsea deleted their social media posts about Enzo after a wave of criticism, but that is a public relations decision, not a contractual one. The visas are yet uncertain. The contracts may remain safe, the legal consequences may be limited. But here is what is not safe. But here is what none of these players probably fully appreciated when they were standing on that pitch, holding that banner and screaming in Pickford's face and posting about the best team in history. The welcome. English fans have been very clear about what they want to happen when these players return. And it is not a ban. It is something they feel is actually more satisfying than a ban. They want them here. They want Christian Romero to walk into every away ground in England. They want Lisandro Martinez to walk into Old Trafford with the weight of that banner on him. They want Enzo Fernandez, wherever he ends up, to hear what 60,000 people think of the man who said they do his cleaning. Because a ban ends it. A ban lets them go somewhere comfortable. A ban lets them play football without consequence. And English fans may love that, but they also like the other way. They want the consequence to happen here. On English soil. In English stadiums. In front of English fans who have been waiting since July 19th. Social media has been flooded since the semi-final with English fans saying exactly this, not deport them, but let them come back. Let Romero walk into every away ground in this country and hear what the terraces think of a man who screamed in Pickford's face and held a Falklands banner. Let Enzo hear you let your country down from 60,000 people every 3 weeks. Let all of them experience what it feels like to play football in a country whose people they publicly disrespected, week after week, all season, for as long as they stay. Because English football fans are not asking for these players to be removed. They are asking for the opportunity to make these players wish they had never come back. And honestly, for players who earn their living here, who need these crowds, these atmospheres, these clubs that sustained hostile reception, is a consequence that goes far beyond what any visa tribunal could produce. Most British fans are already making jokes about how they will all end up in MLS, near their geode, their idol, to the country that welcomed Argentina with open arms, that gave them the World Cup, that had their president hand over the trophy at the final, where the history with the Falklands doesn't exist, where the banner wouldn't feel like a deliberate insult to the people paying your wages, where the cleaning comment wouldn't land in the way it landed here. Maybe MLS is exactly where they would be more comfortable, where they wouldn't have to face what is waiting for them at every away ground from August onwards. Tell me in the comments, do you think they should have their visas revoked and face consequences? Or do you think the atmosphere they are about to experience is worse and enough for that? Don't forget to subscribe. I'll make sure you're updated on the most important football notes here. I appreciate your support.